UFC 314 might have its main event. Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria 2 looks like it's going to be booked for Miami. UFC 314. I don't want to see it happen. I don't think a lot of fans want to see this fight happen just because of the reason that we want to see Volk win. We want to see Volk win as a fan base. Volkanovski's up there on the GOAT list as a featherweight. It's him, it's Max Holloway are kind of the GOATs of featherweight. And Topuria's knocked them both out back to back. All right, he's knocked them both out back to back. Volkanovski is on a 2-fight skid. He got chin back to back. Lost to Islam pretty brutally. That was short notice, of course, in up weight class, and then gets chin by Topuria. So it's just, why is this fight being booked? It's not confirmed yet. It's not confirmed, but there's so many rumors, and it just makes sense right now at featherweight. It doesn't make sense, but when we're looking at what's going on, Yair Rodriguez versus Diego Lopez was booked. Evloev said he wanted to fight before Ramadan, fight in January or February. We're basically in February, and he hasn't had a fight booked. So I'm going to be thinking that Evloev's sitting out till after Ramadan. And the only other thing to really make at featherweight is I guess Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria too. But it's kind of rough. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about what Volk has to do, what he can do to potentially win this fight and potentially get that belt back. I think it's a tough task for sure. I think it's a very tough task, especially after what Ilia did to Max Holloway. He did basically the exact same thing he did to Volkanovski, but to Max Holloway. And, I'd say that fight was closer than the one between Volk and Ilia, but at the same time, Volk had quite a few things going for him that were good. There was a few things that were good. I'm going to go over that and what he can do to maybe win the fight. I do still think that Ilia Topuria will take that fight if it happens. It's just based off the fact that Volkanovski's gone chin back to back, and he needs to fight down the rankings. I know it's tough. He's one of the GOATs. Of course, everybody wants him to get the belt back. I want him to get the belt back, but he can't just go into the fire again, fight Ilia again when Ilia's in his prime. He's undefeated, and he's running off of 2 back-to-back knockouts. Ilya's just kind of a force right now. He needs to be tested with something new. We need to see Volkanovski fight down a bit, still prove that he's that guy, and he still is that guy, but fighting Topuria again isn't the best idea. But I do think that is what the outcome will be. I do think that will be booked 314. They might announce it at UFC 312 or maybe UFC 313. I don't know when they're going to announce it, but I do believe that will be the main event of 314 in Miami. That might be the main event. Then they might have Shavkat Bilal or something else. I'm not sure as a co-main, but Volkanovski, he can win the fight. It is winnable. I'm going to go over why it is winnable. There's some things that he did in the first fight. I rewatched the first fight a few times. There was some things going for Volk. For sure, there was some things going for Volk. He's got an amazing jab. He's got a great jab. One of the best jabs in the UFC. Definitely the best jab in featherweight, I would say, is between him and Max. But his jab is so clean. It's super crisp, and it's really, really fast. He was stinging Ilia round 1, round 2. He was stinging him hard. He's busting up his nose. Ilia was eating those shots pretty bad. But the thing with Ilia is he kind of just marches you down, bobs and weaves. He's a very boxer-heavy style, right? We know this. Ilia Topuria, very heavy boxer. The best boxer in the UFC, I would say. It's close between a few guys, but Ilia, I do think, is the best boxer in the UFC. He's showed that time and time again. But, he's a very boxer-heavy style, and he's got great low kicks now. He's advancing his game. He's got low kicks, mixing it in with elbows. He's got a Roman Greco wrestling background, so he's very, very high level wrestling, which is a reason why Volk couldn't really take him down, didn't really want to go for takedowns. But in the second fight, if there is the rematch, I do believe that Volk might have to try to get some takedowns. I know Ilya's grappling and his submission game is very good, but I think if Volk can get takedowns, he could do what he did to Islam Makhachev in the first fight. Took Islam down, landed nasty ground and pound, and it was good. He's controlling the fight, and that's kind of what he needs to do against a guy in Ilia who's going to keep marching him down and try to get him up against the fence. Ilya's picture-perfect knockout, that nobody's been able to escape, he's up against the cage. He's up against the fence. When you're backed up, Ilia is able to line up his shot perfectly. He's controlled it against, he's controlled against Volk. He's controlled it against Max. He controlled it when he moved up to lightweight. And he fought at lightweight. He was able to get these picture-perfect knockouts because he was able to back everybody up against the fence, put him exactly where he wanted, and line up his left and right hook, which are his most powerful shots. His right hook is nasty. That's what he knocked out Volk with, and then he knocked out Max with his left. So, either way, both hands, Ilya has power in his left and his right, and he loved that check hook. That's how he knocks out people. So one of the things that Volk can do is he needs to be more defensively sound. Volk is good at defense, but what in his knockout when he got knocked out by Topuria, he hit the Philly shell. He was blocking kind of like this on the side. He was blocking on the side, and he hit a Philly shell, which left his left side open. That's why Topuria was able to line up the right hook so perfectly. But kind of Volk was doing that throughout the entirety of the fight. He's obviously jabbing with his lead hand, which is his clean jab. He's hitting that with that jab, but he needs to back up that lead hand and bring it back to a defensively sound position to try and avoid letting Topuria find that opening and blitz in. Because I'm sorry, but I do believe that if Topuria lands one clean right or left hook on Volk, it's lights out. It's just a matter of power. And when we look at the matchup between Volk and Topuria, I think Volk's technique is so much better when he's jabbing, when he's kicking, when he's teeping, anything he's doing. His striking, he's clean. It's nice. It's a very nice, clean technique, but it doesn't have an immense amount of power behind it. Topuria, he's got clean technique, but he's not throwing a lot of volume. He's not putting out a lot of volume, which is what Volk has to do in this fight, in this rematch. He has to put out even more volume than he did before, and he has to have an insane cardio to be able to take this 5 rounds because I don't think Volkanovski can finish Topuria. I don't think there's any way Volkanovski finishes Topuria. I don't think he has enough power to do that. Volk's finished guys before. He finished Yair Rodriguez, but that was ground and pound. He landed some nice shots and stuff, but Volk doesn't have the most insane power. He just has a very good output, and very good technique. He's also his striking is very sound. He's very, very clean with the striking, but his defense needs to improve against a guy in Topuria who can just land that one shot knockout power. Volk's never really gone up against a guy like that at featherweight during his entire run. He wasn't fighting anybody who had an insane one shot knockout power. When he fought Max those 3 times, Max doesn't have that knockout power. That's the reason Topuria has been dominating in featherweight is because he has knockout power that he could implicate at lightweight. He's done it before. He could do that. He could have that knockout power at lightweight, and he's in featherweight, and he has that knockout power, and it completely wipes out a bunch of fighters' game plans because when you're going against a guy with the knockout power like that, you can't slip up and drop your hands for a second. You need to stay defensively sound because you don't know when Topuria will blitz in. And Volk throughout the fight, he would be dodging back, but he wouldn't be bringing his hands back up, and he'd be going in a straight motion backwards, leaving it very predictable for Topuria to counter. He didn't counter like that, but he backed him up against the fence, and then when Volk was trying to back up with the Philly stance and he got crumbled, it just didn't work, man. It didn't work. So Volk has to be more defensively sound. He has to be more defensively sound. He has to have a very good output. The kicks were going for him. The kicks, Volk had very good kicks. He has very good kicks. His body kick is beautiful. His leg kicks are beautiful. He was hurting Topuria's legs for sure. He's stinging Topuria in the second round. Topuria's obviously got good leg kicks too, but Volkanovski leg kicks are one of the best in featherweight for sure. So he needs to have a very high output to be able to kind of offset Topuria from getting into that motion of finding that shot, because Topuria needs to find that motion, find that shot, and find that moment to properly connect. It was the same thing against Max. When Topuria fought Max, Max was stinging him with jabs. Max's output is insane. It's the same as Volk. Both of them have very, very good output, but they don't have the most power. So, against a guy in Topuria who's trying to find that moment, you kind of have to off-put his momentum. You can't let him gain momentum, because the second he gains momentum and he has you against the cage, it's over. So if Volk wants a chance at beating Topuria, he needs to be able to stop all of Topuria's momentum, whatever momentum he's got going for him. He needs to stop it. Whether that be by clinching up, he might have to clinch more with Topuria. I think if Volk clinches with Topuria and goes for knees and goes for close shots to the body, I don't think Topuria can knock him out up in close like that. He needs to be up against the fence. We haven't seen Topuria knock anybody out like right in the open. Do you know what I mean? He's only knocked out guys right up against the fence where he has them perfectly, where he likes it. That's his zone. That is like his spot. He's up against the cage, And when you're up against a cage, you really have to circle out. You have to circle out like crazy. Volk needs to circle out better. He was doing it good during the first round of that fight against Topuria, but the second round he started slowing down with his circles. And once Topuria backed him up a bit, and Volk put up that Philly shell, he wasn't able to see where Topuria was, and that's why Topuria put his left hand on Volk's head and then landed that picture perfect right hand, which crumbled Volk, right? So Volkanovski has to constantly circle. He has to have insane cardio in this fight. Like, he needs to be going that full 5 rounds. I think that's the only way that he wins is by decision. I don't think he can finish Ilya Topuria. So Volk's way to win this fight is by decision. And Topuria, he could finish Volk at any moment, and he could win a decision as well. But Volk's output will win him the rounds for sure. It'll win him the rounds, but Topuria's damage also is, since it's damage based counting and damage based the way they're getting the scorecards, it kind of favors Topuria. But if Volk can have enough output to offset that and sway the judges, he can win this fight. But that is the only way you can win this fight. Seriously, I don't see another way. If you guys have any other ideas, let me know down in the comments down below. But like, I just don't see Volkanovski knocking out Ilya Topuria. I've been thinking about it over and over, and like, I don't want to see this fight booked. I would love to see Volkanovski fight down, maybe fight. Yeah, like, I'd love to see him fight Evloev or like Lopez. If Lopez wasn't booked, that would have been an amazing fight. You put Lopez versus Volk, and then you put Evloev versus Topuria. Like, they could have done that. I don't know why Lopez is fighting Yair Rodriguez after destroying Brian Ortega, man, and Brian Ortega beat Yair Rodriguez right before he fought Lopez. So I just don't understand it. I don't understand it, but they've messed this whole thing up. It's already screwed up. I know Volk's a fan favorite, and he was champ for such a long time, and he's one of the goats. So you got to respect the goat and give him that rematch. But they could have given him a fight in between. I think it's too soon to be rematching right away. And after losing back-to-back knockouts, it's pretty rough. He's not going to have the best headspace going into the fight. Hopefully, we'll see a different kind of Volk, and we'll see an evolved Volk. But I'm going to be going with Ilya Topuria if that fight is booked. It's inevitable. I think Ilya will finish Volkanovski again, but I do hope that Volkanovski can make the adjustments. He can adjust. He can make the adjustments. Keeps a tighter guard. Keeps a tighter guard when he's backing out of shots. Moves more laterally rather than moving straight back, because he will get caught, and he needs to move back with his hands up rather than, because obviously he uses his lead hand to jab, and that's his problem, because his lead hand, once it's out, Topuria can blitz in and land that right hook, which he loves to do. So, Volk's going to have to be very defensively sound, and he's going to have to circle like crazy. But, and of course, use his kicks to keep that range. He needs to keep that range because he can't let Topuria get in close, especially up against the fence. Topuria is going to be pressuring him nonstop, just walking him down. He eats the jabs to the face, but he's going to keep walking Volk down. So, I'm going to be picking Topuria in this fight, but I do hope that Volk can pull this off. I think there are some adjustments that he can do and that he can make to at least make this fight go into the later rounds, and maybe he can wear down Ilya Topuria. Topuria was able to keep that endurance during the 5 rounds against Josh Emmett, but if Volk can keep up the cardio and keep up the pressure with his jab and with his kicks, he could wear down Topuria. That is his best chance of winning this fight. So I do hope that Volk can do that, but let me know down in the comments down below who you guys think will win that fight, what you guys think Volk has to do to win this fight. And if you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button for more videos, and I'll catch you boys in the next one. See you.